Hi, Janice.
Hi, Anthony.
Today we'll talk about something that seems very metaphysical. We're going to talk about 5 reasons you should start a podcast while on our podcast.
By listening to our podcast.
All right. So whether you work in corporate or if you're a small business owner, I think it's all the same. All of us, your success relies on relationships. Yes.
Absolutely agree.
So podcasting, think of it as not as having a radio show or, I mean, it's that too, but also thinking of it as a way to leverage and ramp up your way of making all the right connections. All right. So the first reason I think you should start a podcast, again, whether or not you're a small business owner, think of it as networking on steroids, right? So what is networking? I guess traditionally, introducing yourself and meeting to know as many people as possible. It's kind of like a numbers game, right? And hopefully a small section of those people will be people who you get along with, you have mutual interest, and you can maybe do business with together or help each other out career-wise.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Absolutely. And I think it, like you said, it applies to every type of business that you're in, that this would be beneficial for.
And if you're more on a career path, corporate path, I mean, this is a great way to find and meet people who can give you a heads up about job openings or career shifts. I mean, this applies to everyone.
Absolutely.
So think of podcasting and YouTube as well, because we're also on YouTube. Think of it as a leveraged way of getting, quote unquote, getting to know way more people than if you had to go to a meet and greet every week. So if you did this the old school way, where you go to like a cocktail party or, educational lunches or TED Talks or whatever, conventions, you are spending hours shaking hands in a suit, exchanging business cards, with your rictus of a grin, smiling, hey, what do you do?
We've all been there. We've
Right.
all done that. Yes.
But, we don't necessarily, I mean, yeah, I guess to some degree you still should get out there face to face, but think of this medium, podcasting, as a way to do that, but just sending it out to 10, even hundreds of times more people than you would be able to face. Yeah.
It's definitely a nice bonus. Like you said, you could still go to the meet and greets, but one more platform to get yourself out there.
And this is way more long form than the traditional meet and greet. Whereas if you and I, Janice, met at a cocktail party, we'd have at most 5 to 7 minutes.
Not long.
Yeah, of like, and a good percentage of that is kind of socially required banter.
Yes. There's the first 5 minutes is the weather, and this is my name, and yes, where I work. Right.
Whereas in this format, if somebody wanted to get to know me or wanted to get to know you, Janice, we're in their ear and they're hearing you and kind of getting to know your sense of humor, what you laugh at, how loose or stiff you are, what what you seem to be knowledge about. I mean, and they can fast forward and pick and choose what they want to know about you way more efficiently than, hi, how's the weather? Oh, food's great at this event, isn't it? Right?
Yeah. Wow. The cocktail party is great, and the shrimp are delicious. Right.
So the second benefit of doing a podcast, so that's the overarching benefit, that it's networking on steroids. So what's another benefit of podcasting? It's a lot more nuanced than other methods. So theoretically, you could get that networking on steroids effect with blogging or email newsletters, right? But the written word, no matter how talented a wordsmith you are, you're going to necessarily lose some nuance that you just can't get unless you're on voice or video. Would you agree with that, Janice?
Oh, definitely. Because I feel that I have a little bit of a sense of humor, but even if I were to write down what we were saying, I don't think that would reflect very well on a written word. It might, but not as good as, us laughing back and forth with a little bit of banter when we're making fun of my math skills. But you're not going to see that in a blog post. Could you? Maybe a little bit, but I mean, they're getting to know us.
I mean, it's the basics of human behavior and psychology: voice speed, voice inflection, volume, and if you happen to catch us on YouTube, body language, nodding, blinking, all those things, we may not even realize it, but are part of the total communication package. Yeah.
Yes. It's although it's hard to see me sometimes, my arms are flailing and I'm getting really into the conversation, but you don't see that in the written word. You don't see my arms like an Italian running in the air, but
So
you missed that a little bit.
For the YouTube viewers, don't worry, we are working on getting Janice on camera as well. It's in the works.
So you can see my hands in real life moving all around. Yes.
I mean, just to give one more, just to accentuate the point. I mean, Janice, when we have a complicated case that we're working on together, and it requires a lot of explanation, I could sit down and draft like a 5-scroll email that would just blow your mind, right, with its density and boringness.
Lots of words, yes.
But instead, what do I usually do? I record an audio voice memo or a screencast, and I explain it to you. I mean, which do you prefer?
Well, it is much easier because, a lot of things get lost in text.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever sent an email or a text message that you thought was pretty nice, but it came back and they were a little offended? They thought you weren't, you missed the laughs and the, oh, haha, it's okay, we didn't do anything wrong. But so sometimes the voice is better because you realize, oh, I didn't mess up, but just got to fix it. You do miss that, and there tends to be a little bit of, you could lose someone in translation with writing it down.
And what would it? Oh, well, excuse me.
Try it again.
The equivalent of a 5-minute voice memo for you to listen to, would be seriously maybe a 3 to 4 page email to get that same amount of information. So it's a much more accessible
and
way.
let's just face it, that if I get a 3-page email, I'm not reading every single word. I'm going to try to, but I'm going to kind of skim and just get because it's a lot. It's over, we read all day long and it's overwhelming sometimes. You ever shut down when you get a big email and you just go, oh my gosh, where do I start?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
I do too. But it's hard. And now you've just sent me a quick little thing. We've moved on and we've solved the problem. Cool. Just is a lot easier.
So the third reason why you might want to start a podcast, well, not might, you should start a podcast, is because people like to have choice of content. So what does that mean? Everyone has their preferences, right? If you just love writing, then a blog makes sense. And if you love, I don't know how else to describe it, just firing off short, snarky opinions, I guess you're meant for social media. But if you love the camera, then a vlog or YouTube might make more sense. But if talking and conversing, the way we do it, is your most comfortable way of showing who you are, then podcast makes sense. And personally, I can't imagine anyone who doesn't enjoy conversation and would enjoy, I guess maybe writing instead of conversing, but I can't imagine many people who would prefer to be on camera than just talking. Or it just seems to be the most kind of a universal way of communicating.
Absolutely. And just talking. Will you ever pick up the phone just to talk to somebody, let's say a new client, and you've gone through the formalities of sending an email. It looks all official, sincerely, with my name and all the acronyms behind it. But then you get on the phone and you're like, hi, Miss Smith, how are you? And it just, all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay. It's just that speaking that makes, again, content choice, but at that point it just makes everybody feel better, and you get that, oh, she's not really as stuffy as the email, she's actually happy and nice. And that's why I think that this talking is a good thing in our world. I mean, we don't do it that much anymore, let's face it. We're the rapid short engagements, the text messages and the emails, right?
Emojis.
Right. Oh, I do love my Bitmojis though. Do you know you can parent in Bitmojis? Anyway, that's a whole nother podcast. They actually have ones that say go to your room and go do the laundry.
Wait, what's a Bitmoji? Is that different from what comes with Apple, or?
It is. It's the one. It looks like a caricature.
Huh.
And they have, anyway, I have parented in Bitmoji, but it's nice to talk. This is going back to our podcast here, but it is nice to have that interaction.
Hold on, mental note. Sorry to digress, but
we're going back to this.
So the evolution of language started with hieroglyphics, went to language, written word, and is now back to hieroglyphics, also known as emojis. That's weird.
Yes,
okay.
Also known as Bitmojis that I sent to my children, telling them to knock it off or go to their room. Oh, they're true story. I'll have to share that with you.
Cool. So bringing it back, the fourth reason that everyone should start podcasting is it's the flip side of what we were just talking about. First, many people have different ways that they want to make or create content, but also people have different ways that they like to consume content. So yes, I do have a blog, and I do write emails to my clients and prospective clients. I write books, obviously, but other people might prefer watching on YouTube, which we also have, and other people might prefer just listening while they're driving or doing the dishes or in the subway on their commute. So you want to be able to provide, to offer yourself if you want to, if going back to the principle of networking on steroids, and you want to reach as many people as possible, you want to make yourself available to as many different people in their preferred medium as possible. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, so many people just listen while they're jogging or doing the dishes or rock. I mean, it seems to be a growing in popularity.
It is. And when you read all day or you're in front of a computer all day, sometimes the last thing that you want to do is sit down to another computer or another article or another reading. I mean, some people do enjoy that, absolutely. Yeah. But like you said, it might be nice. You're sitting on the subway. You could just listen, kind of let your brain take a break.
Not just your brain. You make a great point. Your eyes as well. I mean, all these screens are not great for our eyes. And just being able to close your eyes and listen, it's a great change of pace. Yes,
absolutely. It's just a break.
And then the last one's kind of a silly one, but it actually is, I believe, is true. Having your own podcast gives you some gravitas, gives you some authority, because even though it is a podcast, a lot of people do consider it, hey, it's that guy from TV, or in this case, radio, right? Yeah. You are out there. You are quote unquote famous, to an extent, at least more than somebody who's not doing it, right? So,
right.
That gives you some weight, that you're putting it out there, and, being authoritative when you're trying to network with other people, that's a good thing.
Right. It's like, I go back to the old school billboards. You drive down the road, you take the same road, and there's the same billboards, every couple of miles with a gentleman's face on it. I see this, in our area for an air conditioning company. Right. But it's like, I know him. You see his face. I've been seeing him for years. If I saw him in the grocery store, like, oh, you're the guy, But it's that authority of like, oh, you're the guy from the billboard. Do I know anything about him? Not really, but I know it's the guy. It's a guy on the radio. It's a guy on the TV. You associate that.
For sure. I mean, it's like the principle of 7 touches. You get to know somebody, or you bring up a concept 7 times before you can close a sale or persuade somebody. So very similar.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's all I have. I don't want to berate this, just because I'm podcasting, I don't want to make, force everyone else to. Yeah. But I do think it's very useful.
But if you do start a podcast after listening to this, put the link in there. That'd be neat to see. Like, okay, give it a shot, see what happens.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the worst that can happen is you like it, you keep going. I mean,
yeah. If you're listening to this and you're interested and you want to know the next steps, let us know in the comments or on social, and we'll do one on what are the I don't guess basic first steps on how to get started. Yeah.
Absolutely, I would love to hear that. Cool. Feedback is good.
All right. So thank you for listening. Thank you, Janice, and we will talk to you next time. Take care.
We'll talk soon.
Bye.